Hello there! My name is Matilda, and I'm a visionary artist seeking to inspire imagination, activate intuition, and integrate joy and wisdom into my own life and into the lives of anyone who views my work. Today I would like to talk about a piece that I created back in 2019 sometime, I can't really remember when, and this piece's name is Step by Step. Recently I had an interaction with it that caused me to cry, so I felt pretty inspired to make a video, and I hope that you enjoy it today. But first, before I tell you what it means to me, I would like to bring the camera up close and just let you have your own experience with it. It's really going to be a time of silent reflection for you, so if you get bored, feel free to fast forward, I don't care, or skip ahead to where I start talking, but I do encourage you to really try to get your own interpretation out of it first, and also I would love to hear how it's speaking to you personally. Feel free to share with me in the comments or a personal message, however you feel comfortable. Alrighty! Alrighty, well I hope you really enjoyed that experience and were able to connect with the piece in a genuine way. I hope that you were able to find its unique interpretation for you. However, I'm very excited to talk to you about what it means to me because it's really been a very long journey. So I'd like to start by talking about what this piece means to me overall. It's not the initial idea that I had when painting it, but it's how it speaks to me in the grand scheme of things. So really, if I had to sum it up in a sentence, it would probably just be that it's about living in the present moment and living with the presence. So basically, I kind of view this girl as myself, and she can really be anybody, but she's moving from one door to the next, and these doors are the pathway of her life. Up here is the future, and back here is the past. And she is moving from one door to the next, these opportunities in our life that show up, and each door is representing something new. So this painting really had a lot to do with fear and releasing that fear, and it had a lot to do with accepting my past and accepting myself, really. And it's not that my past was any sort of bad thing, it's just that sometimes we're not able to accept who we used to be because we know ourselves to be something a little bit better. You know, we know that we can show up in the world in a much more genuine, authentic way, kind of like our highest self. And sometimes when you're in that journey, at least for me, I found that I was really judging the old me anytime she was still in my present reality. When in real life, it's great just to have compassion for ourselves and know that we are moving towards a very, very beautiful future, and it doesn't really have to do so much with the present moment, so much as seeing the very big picture. So part of being able to live in the present moment is being able to see the course of your life, not necessarily see it, but really just to know that it is planned out in such a beautiful way that you have no need to worry. These doors are firmly planted and rooted in the earth, and you're going to come across them at the right time. Sometimes in life, it's very easy for me to want to jump ahead, and sometimes you come to an opportunity in a door that you're not quite ready to enter, and you're banging on that door and you're like, let me in, I want my future now, I want to be this way, I want this to happen, I want that to happen. And it's not necessarily that you're banging on the wrong door, it's not wrong to want in that door, it's just sometimes you gotta go on a little bit of an excursion to find the key to the door. And in my opinion, the keys really are just a representation of wisdom and a piece of knowledge that you need to be able to move forward in life. And something I think that's so beautiful about the picture of the keys is that they're scattered about in different places. They're in the water, they're on the ground, they're in the future, they're in the past, and some of them are painted and some of them are real metal. And so sometimes keys are going to come in different forms, sometimes they're going to be harder to find, harder to pick up. And the thing about the keys is they are always there. They're always available. And you can see she's dropping her old key, the key that she used to open this door. So sometimes we hold on to those old keys and we're trying to open the new doors with the old keys, and that just doesn't work. Sometimes we really have to let go, which is really what this water is about. It's about letting go and going with the flow. If she were up here at this door, she might need to backtrack a little bit to find the right key before she can come to the next door. Something that I find so very comforting about this concept of keys is that they're always appearing at the right time. And you're finding the keys in just the right moment, and you don't have to worry about collecting all the keys for all the doors in the future. You really just have to focus on the one next key and know that that key, even though, say you're opening one of these doors with thorns, even though the key that you found is opening up a door that's not so great, you understand that you have to make it through that door to get to maybe these doors that are covered in diamonds, gold, and pearls. So there really is just this continual journey of life that we have to go on. One beautiful piece of this painting that I absolutely adore is this girl's color. I love that she is yellow and changing color, and it's like she's coming into this light body of herself. But something interesting about this is that she's not changing from yellow to purple, or even from yellow to orange, which is a very close color. She's not changing colors completely. She's only changing shades of color. And sometimes in life, we're like, this next door is gonna cause me to step into my new personality, my new me, the best me. I'm gonna be a completely different color. I'm gonna be so renewed. I'm gonna be so great. And then you get there and you're like, I'm not the color I thought I was gonna be. In fact, I didn't change color at all. And sometimes when we're here, we're like, I'm still yellow. Still have so far to go. And it's not necessarily that you didn't change color. Like, she really has to have a lot of conscious awareness about the fact that she changed shades. Sometimes in life we notice that we are still the same color, but we're not giving awareness to the fact that we've changed shades and that we are changing, we are getting better, we are becoming more enlightened or aware or closer to God, or whatever it is that is your end goal. It's not that we are not progressing, it's just that we're progressing slowly. And this has been a huge area in my life to recognize that growth happens slowly and it's not going to just be overnight. And really, by the time she gets to the end of her life, who knows what color she's going to be. And it doesn't mean that the color that she is right now is not legit and that doesn't matter. You know, she matters no matter where she is in her journey. So, you know, this area of the painting, just seeing this girl, is really what made me cry the other day, because I resonate so much with the humans in my paintings. I love to put humans in my paintings because it really allows the viewer to put themselves there and step into the picture that I'm creating. And at least that's what it does for me. So when I saw her, I remembered where I was when I was painting. I remembered how painful it was for me to paint this depiction of myself changing and of the thorns on the doorways. In fact, since I started doing my work professionally in making this particular whimsical style, I had not painted any sort of like sadness or transformation kind of stuff, and these thorns were really me like introducing that into my work. Like, it's okay to accept some of those negative areas. It's okay to understand that some doors in life are going to be covered in thorns, and they're going to be very painful to open that doorknob, or it's going to be very hard to get to them. And basically just this fact that this was her past door. It was covered in thorns, and she had just come from there. And she was coming from a bad place. It's not necessarily like a bad place, but she was coming from a place that she might not have liked, she might not have accepted. And being able to move on and recognize that maybe the next door is boring and plain, but the one behind that has flowers and beautiful vines. Like, knowing that everything in life is a season, everything in life is temporary, and yes, you are living in the moment with this big picture of understanding that everything is temporary. Some of these doors do have different things on them, like water. I love this door being water because once she walks through it, she has these stepping stones to get across this creek. It's like everything in her life is lined up so perfectly. And sometimes the door is going to give you a little bit of a hint of what your future might hold. So also, what else? The little creatures and things don't necessarily have a ton of meaning for me, but I wanted to put them in because I love little animals, and I think that all along your journey there's signs and signals that are pointing the way, singing happy songs, or reminding you just to enjoy the journey, enjoy life. Like, when I go out in nature on a walk and I see the trees, or I see the mushrooms and the hopping frogs and the swimming fish — I don't think there are fish in here. Okay, flying butterflies. When I see those things, I am reminded that, hey, this is a very, very wonderful life, and I'm so happy to be here. And like, even if you're walking through those doors of depression or anxiety or shame or guilt, or who knows what kind of door you're walking through, maybe it's grief, maybe it's something that's very, very, very hard. Even when you're walking through those doors, the rest of reality is still going on, and you might feel kind of stuck there in that bad place. And like right here in this journey, there's 2 doors of thorns right next to each other, and you don't have that relief necessarily when you get through the first. You're like bombarded by a bunch of more problems. But even in the midst of that, the rest of everything else is still happening, and there's still a beautiful, beautiful reality for you, especially if you're able to tune into it, see it, recognize it, walk away from those doors for a little while, walk away from your current reality, and just look into the future or the past or into your imagination. Like, there is this just empty space up here, which at the time of creating this, and even still, I have a hard time leaving empty spaces in my artwork. And this is one of the only ones I can even think of right now that has this big of an empty space. And that really is just this calm place to remind you that there are many other realities and many other places, like that place of prayer and meditation, the presence of God, that can give you that sense of calm, that sense of a relaxing, relieving fog. A fog to make you forget, maybe for just a little while, about all the things that are so terrible, and remember what actually matters in your life. Alright, so now let me talk about why I was inspired to create this in the first place and my initial intention and concept behind it. So this piece is actually inspired by a Bible passage. The passage is Ezekiel 47, and it's talking about the people of God going into his temple and going out of his temple. And they're going into the temple with the priest through one door, and they say they're only allowed to walk forward and go straight out the other gateway. None of them are allowed to turn back and go out the same way that they came. It said if they came in the south, they had to go out the north. And if they came in the north, they had to go out the south. And this really inspired me to start thinking about these series of doorways. And initially, and even still, I was imagining this as being walking through different doorways of God. Like if each of these doorways were an attribute or a personality of our source, of the Creator. And when you're going through your life and you come into a new reality, you start to understand God in a new way. It's interesting because even recently, over the phone with my mom, she was talking about how she viewed God at one time as a father figure, but that she'd grown out of that view and there was some deeper, bigger expansion of her view of God and how she could relate to him. Can't remember exactly what she said, but it's interesting how we have these ideas of who God is in one moment of our life, and then as we go through other stuff in our life, we're starting to understand God in new ways. And it's not necessarily that we're able to understand the source of all creation and all things that we could ever imagine, and beyond our imagination, we could never understand the divine intelligence that is available to us in every moment. We would never be able to understand him completely, but I absolutely love how God comes to us in tangible ways. I love how we're not just on this planet doing whatever we're doing with absolutely no direction and no connection with the one who put us here in the first place. I love that God is constantly showing up in my life and showing me who the one truly is. I love being able to have an intimate relationship, one where I get to talk to God and I get to hear back. I get to see how he's showing up in my life, and I get to show God in return how much I trust them. So I just absolutely love how this passage inspired me to think about doorways, because in every area of our life we are learning a little bit something about God and how God's revealing himself to us. Even through those hard, thorny situations, God's really revealing to us a different side of him that we may have never known. And I know that the eternal source really is an unending personality type, an unending, encompassing of all that we could ever know in a personality, all that we could ever know as a creator. I believe that every human is made after the divine intelligence, so that we each have a piece of God inside of us, and that God piece is really like where I get my art from. It's that creation aspect. It's like the one who created all things also made me with that internal something that just makes me want to create too. And this idea of being in relationship with the one, is something that I long to talk about and paint about and write about. I absolutely love being able to share how God has shown up in my life and what kind of relationship we have, in hopes to inspire others. I really hope to inspire others to get beyond the idea of God being an external source, something that's just up in the sky and that has nothing to do with what's actually happening in your real day-to-day life. Some people never get beyond the idea and the belief that God exists. They never go into a relationship and start to watch and see how that knowledge of knowing the existence, being with the existence, and embodying the existence actually changes their world, their reality, and their actions, the way that they treat others and the way that they see other people, other humans, other little pieces of God, other little things that are showing us who God is. And I love that just like the nature out in the woods is going to teach us about how the Creator exists and is present and is beautiful and loves beauty and loves all the different weird, whimsical ways that plants grow. God loves all the different whimsical ways that we grow, and He is showing us Himself in our experiences with nature and through other humans, through animals, through anything that we encounter. There is a piece, if we look close enough, that is saying, hey, God not only exists, but He also wants relationship with His people, with our souls. And that's really some deep truth that I believe in. One more piece that I forgot to mention. So when I was talking about how the people were going into the temple and out of the temple, that really made me think about how we're taking God's presence with us as we leave. And in my idea, we never do leave the presence of God, but sometimes in those tangible, worshiping, traditional ways that people would experience, and some people still experience, you kind of forget about God in your day-to-day life. You're there to worship in 1 minute, but I think walking out that door, that other door, it's just an idea that you can't turn back. You can't unknow what you know. You can't unexperience God in a way that you've experienced Him. And when you have God in your life and you're walking from one door in life to the next, you're really taking that God that you've known with you while at the same time experiencing Him in new ways. And I just love that idea that you can't actually turn back. You can't leave God's presence. God will never leave your presence. And it's interesting to think that as much as we enjoy and are in awe and love and are in so much peace to be in God's presence, God also enjoys in the same way being in our presence. And when we can see ourselves the way that God sees us, when we can see our immense worth that we have to Him, and I think when we can really connect with that kind of a worth, we are able to step into the role of our life that God's called us to. And sometimes people don't realize that till the end of their life. It's not like you're able just to understand how God sees you in an instant. You really do have a long journey, and I myself am still on that journey, but I love the new manifestations of God's presence in my life within every door that I walk. So that's kind of what this piece means to me. I'm absolutely filled up being able to talk about these concepts and ideas, and it makes me excited. My voice is a little bit crazy. So, yeah. I hope that you too enjoyed hearing my interpretation. Again, please respond with your interpretation, and also share this video with anyone you think might enjoy it. Please also consider supporting my work. I have ways that you can pledge a $3 patronage to my work a month, so it's not a lot, but you also get things in return for it, actual physical items of my work in the mail. So think about that. I would definitely appreciate anyone's support of my work. It makes me feel good and also allows me to show up in the world in this way. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. I know your time is valuable, and it means a lot to me that you see me, and in return I see you and I'm showing up for you. Thank you. Bye.